Deaf people and the law. Witnesses the Deaf Cobblers. Deaf people are just like other people when it comes to dealing with the law. Some people are victims, and some are plaintiffs. Others are defendants, and some make wills. Seeing that there is a mountain of material out there, what you see here is, again, only a selected article to show an example of how the law caught up with two young deaf men. There was an article in the Freeman's Journal on the 14th of February 1859 that is of particular interest in this area. Two deaf men worked together at a shop in Dublin on College Street. They worked as cobblers. That is, up until they became involved in an unfortunate business. A man named Henry Judge had been brought before a justice of the peace, and the two deaf cobblers had been called as witnesses in the case. They conveyed their testimony through signing, and their accounts of what happened that day matched up perfectly, down to the last detail. The woman who owned the cobbler's shop, Mrs. Hamilton, acted as their interpreter during the trial. According to the cobbler's version of events, Henry Judge came into the shop while they were working. He perused the items within and eventually selected a pair of boots. He inspected them, remarking that they were lovely. They were boots, he exclaimed, of very nice quality indeed. A second pair of boots had just been placed on wrapping paper, ready to be packaged before delivery to the customer who had ordered them. In the next moment, the two deaf cobblers claimed Henry Judge had tucked the boots that he'd been admiring under his arm, and he'd also snatched up the other pair of new, not as yet packaged boots. Then he had gone out of the shop, sprinting away with both pair of boots without paying. The cobblers had, of course, summoned the police at once to tell them of the theft. That was in an article, but a second article, however striking a somewhat chagrined and apologetic tone, appears later to give further details on the same case. The two deaf cobblers had very clearly testified that Henry Judge had taken the boots and run off. But in fact, this wasn't what had truly happened, not at all. The boots had been taken on a Friday. The following Monday, a soft-spoken, very tidily dressed man had approached the court and quietly asked if he might give his testimony. He was permitted to do so. This man told the court that he was the father of one of the deaf boys. The evening after the supposed theft, his son had told him that he had taken the boots home himself, and that he and the other deaf man had previously agreed upon all of the details of their false accusation. They had concocted their stories for the police and the court, when the whole time they themselves had committed the theft of the two pairs of boots. Not only theft, but now they had also committed perjury by bearing false witness in court. When the father had finished, the court decided that Henry Judge was to be cleared of all charges and set free. And also that the second newspaper article must be required to be published in order to restore his good name. As for the two deaf boys, the judge declared that they must have received very poor moral instruction to have acted as they had.